You do.
Wait, I'm not on my phone.
Turn in your Bibles to Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18.
You didn't mean any.
If you find the page number in the red Bibles, yell it out.
What are we going to?
Page 648, Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18.
Did you say 48 or 648?
648, correct?
Yeah, repeat it.
Let me know when you got it.
Can you repeat it?
648.
648.
What's it?
Guys,
Ephesians.
stop sending me Snapchats.
Ephesians?
Page 648.
I know, but I
What?
mean like
Baruch.
chapter.
Ephesians.
He asked
What?
what it was.
Chapter?
Six.
Ephesians 6,
nothing in there. Oh yeah.
verses 10 through 18. You good?
Yeah.
Stand up. You're sit up. You're really distracting.
Sorry.
If it stops, it stops. Oh well.
Ephesians.
Oh yeah, let's
What?
go.
Oh,
Go. Hi, Corinne. How are you?
I'm gonna go ahead and start it.
Gucci.
Wait, Ephesians
Yes.
6.
I'm not
48.
Ephesians 6,
Oh, I'm sorry.
verses
11.
Or 10 through 8. I was really close.
10 through 18. It was page number 648.
There you go. I'm good.
All right.
Found it.
So Ephesians
What?
chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. Did you just break a chair?
No, it's already broken. Sure. I know.
So
children and parents?
No, Megan said.
Megan is beating up Corinne for the camera.
Come here,
You're
Corinne.
not fat.
All right, let's sit down.
I set my phone in water.
Serves y'all right. All right, let's sit down. Let's sit down. Let's sit down.
You deserve that.
All right, who knows what the armor of God is? Besides my sister.
His glove.
I'm glad you're on her.
No.
But that's what it sounds like.
His courage. I don't know.
All right, anyone know what the armor of God is?
Totally.
Good. Not good, but good in the fact that you guys won't be like, oh, I know what this is. I'm telling you all about it. All right, so you guys don't know what it is. You guys don't know what it's for. You don't know how to use it. Well, these are the questions that I'm going to try to answer.
I just read what it is.
It's really simple and short. It's fine. All right, let's go ahead and pray before we get.
Guys.
All right, let's go ahead and pray before we start diving into the Word. Lord, I just pray that and thank you that we're all able to gather here, and I pray that you would use me to be able to speak your Word, and that you would allow these students to actually get some good knowledge out of this, that they would have a better understanding of you after tonight. And in your name, amen. All right.
Amen.
We're
I know
starting.
what it is.
What? We are going to read these verses. And then after I read it, I'll start breaking it down. So Ephesians 6, verse 10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of the enemy in the heavenly realms.
Wait, what?
Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes with the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep praying for all of the Lord's people. All right.
I see what you did there.
Where
I see what you did there.
What did you see what I did where?
Nothing.
The
Okay.
word, sir.
All those words.
Yeah, the
You're
words.
so smart, Keith.
All right. Now Ephesians is an epistle of the Apostle Paul to the church of Ephesus.
What?
An epistle is a letter from an apostle. It's one of those Christianese words.
Epistle? Did you say
Epistle.
Oh,
Epistle.
there's a word for that.
It's actually any book that a apostle wrote. Most of them are written by Paul, yes.
Hubris.
But Peter also writes some as well.
Alright then.
We've read from a few of Paul's letters in the recent weeks. So, we've talked about Paul. We talked about what he did with his life. So who thinks they know where he is writing this from? the location? Any guesses?
It,
There's no wrong yet. Well, there is wrong guesses, but I'm not going to penalize wrong guesses.
Jail.
Jail. M&M's for you, good sir. Yes.
Catch though.
He's writing from prison. Paul is writing the church once again from prison. Paul is a much better man than I am, because I think I'd have a hard time staying positive in prison.
I would too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a pleasant experience, I wouldn't think. Yet Paul wrote 3 letters to churches. He wrote the letter or book of Ephesians, Philippians, and Colossians. And then he wrote a letter to a good friend of his, the book of Philemon. And you'll notice in these letters, Paul isn't just like shooting the breeze. He isn't just giving a little update about how life in jail is going. Paul's in prison, and he's writing to the church telling them how they should be acting. He's giving them the message from God, the Father, on how to live the good Christian life. They're all great books, and there are numerous things we could talk about for each one of them. But we're just going to focus on Ephesians. We've already read through our main passage, and you have noticed that you might have noticed, especially if you're reading in the physical Bible, it's very close to the end. There's a couple verses afterwards where he just kind of says, all right, say hi to these couple people, and he ends it. So you've heard the saying, we save the best for last, right? You all heard that saying? I think that's what Paul is doing here. This is his big reveal. He's saying, this is the main focus of this letter. So pay close attention. You pay close attention to the end. You don't want to miss out on anything. So let's start taking this apart. Ephesians 6, verse 10. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Well, how do we do that? Verse 11. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Alright, so now Paul's saying that God has a suit of armor for us. Well, where is it?
what?
Not entirely true.
The way we act.
I'd say we have some pretty godly people here. There's some pretty godly people who attend church here. Pastor Doug has been pastor here longer than a few of you have been alive. How old are you?
I'm 11.
How old are you?
14.
You're 13? I think 14. Is anyone here 13 still? Or younger than 13? How old are you, Cameron? You're almost 13. I believe Doug has been pastor here for 14 years.
Holy.
And that's not, he's been here, he's been in ministry, he's been a pastor for over 35 years or something like that. But I've never seen Doug walking around in a suit of armor. Well, if God has a suit of armor for us, then why isn't Doug wearing it? You think if he should be wearing it? I think we need to keep reading. I think we need to keep reading. Alright, verse 12. For our struggle isn't against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Okay, so we're not fighting a battle of flesh and blood. So if we aren't fighting a physical battle, it's an easy assumption to make that we don't need a physical suit of armor. Now, don't for a second think that because our battle and the suit of armor aren't physical, that the fight isn't real. Because the fight against the enemy is just as real as you and me standing here. I mean, it's a real thing, guys. The spiritual realm isn't just some made-up fairy tale. It's real. Who knows who the enemy is?
The enemy is the devil. Thank you.
And you get a car.
Alright, from now on, if I do ask questions, raise hands, so that way I don't have to throw out,
You're
little things in minutes.
Oprah.
I know, right? Except for she gets out.
And
Alright,
Oprah.
She
Yeah.
get a $1 million.
we've said it. The enemy is Satan and his demons, and they have one goal. Does anyone know what that one goal is? I'm going by hands.
Jesus.
What's the goal?
Jesus.
No. Satan and his enemies have one goal.
Oh.
Kisa was up next.
To keep people away from
What was your answer?
Satan's in.
I like both those answers.
Keep you away from
Alright.
God so you don't worship him.
Paul says this in his first
God's
epistle.
down
Yeah,
there with Satan.
sorry, Peter says this in his first epistle. 1 Peter 5:8. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of the believers throughout the world is going to undergo the same kind of suffering. So the enemy Satan wants to devour us. He wants to destroy us. We use the analogy of a lion catching its prey here. What's the easiest way for a lion to catch its prey? What do you think? By the way, this isn't getting rewarded with candy.
Stay quiet and...
To stay quiet?
What was the question?
What's the easiest way for a lion to catch its prey?
Yeah, to trick attack.
Trick him. That's a good answer, yeah.
Wow.
The easiest way for a lion to catch its prey is to get it alone without protection. It doesn't even have to use a sneak attack. It can run right up to a prey if it doesn't have a
I
herd
could be
around
like,
it.
hello!
So if the enemy's goal is to destroy us, would it make sense to you guys that Satan is going to distract us to get us away from that protection? Yeah?
Yes.
He can make you stop believing and not
Well,
believe anything.
So now we know why we need the armor. Well, now we know why we need the protection. So let's see how to put this armor on and what it's made of. Verse 13. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. All right, big point here. Write this down. If you're taking notes, write it
But I
down.
don't
Wait. Right on my mouth.
Does everyone have their notes out? The biggest part about the armor of God, the most important key here, you have to put it on. You
What?
have to put it on. Everyone hit their voice microphones and I'll type it in your notes for you. You have to put it on.
But I don't know.
And then I'm going to tell you how to put it on.
I
But
need my note. I need a piece of paper.
Grab a piece of paper. Come up and grab a piece of
So
paper.
all I write down is you need to put it on.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you remember that, I've accomplished it.
No.
You need to put it on.
Need to put it on.
All right.
Go in honor.
And we can have all the armor in the world. We can have the best suit of armor in the world. We have the best defenses. But if it's just sitting over in a corner, it's worthless.
Yes.
Just knowing what it is doesn't protect us. If you've talked to me very much about faith and all of that, if you've come to fire starters, I've said this a lot there. It's one of my favorite sayings. Knowledge is having information, but wisdom is knowing how to put that information to use. You can have all the you can have all the knowledge. I mean, you can have all the information, but if you don't know how to use the information, it's pointless.
Did you?
You can know if you can know. Yeah, I know how to cook the perfect burger.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to cook it to 170 or 275 degrees and then flip it once or whatever. But you don't know anything about how temperature works or what a burger is, or you don't know how to flip something. It's pointless.
I would.
It's raining.
It's raining?
Yeah, that's what it says. It says it's raining.
Okay.
Big storm's coming after us.
Yeah.
The Bible says that?
Yeah.
No, the Bible doesn't say that, Lucas.
Well,
It's
that's-
raining
That's
outside.
Lucas, that's
It's
a
right here.
logical question
It's
because
raining.
she should be looking at her Bible right
Yeah.
now.
I'm going
Or her notes.
It's a special weather.
Okay, okay.
Bible.
All right, pay attention, guys. Pay attention. All right,
That's Mother Nature.
so let's continue in verse 14. Stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. Now, when we look at someone's clothes, what's the first thing we notice?
Judge them.
If they look bad or good.
Notice.
Item.
not Judge.
First
Oh.
item we
Their
notice.
shirt.
Their shirt.
The shirt.
Their shirt.
Hair.
Their hair isn't clothing, but okay.